One. All right. Welcome to the Coach Flowers Show, presented to you by the Athletes Grind. Coach, man, oh man, this is the time we've been waiting on. This is playoff time. We're ready to go. We got Fort Lauderdale on the clock. Okay, Coach.
Doing, I'm doing well, man. I'm blessed and highly favored as usual, man. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Coach, before we get into playoff time, we just want to take a look back at the Soul Bowl. If I remember correctly, you guys shut them out 35-0 there at Ely. Coach, if you can kind of just give us a synopsis, a summary of how you thought the game went.
Well, I think it went well. It went as planned. We knew this year Ely was down. We were predicting that they would come out with a little bit more energy than they did because it was the Soul Bowl. But, that team is a very, very young team. They had a lot of talent, but it wasn't, enough talent to surpass what we were trying to do. Just got a lot of our starters in the game early. Got them, some energy, got the blood flowing a little bit once the game got out of hand, and we went ahead and put a lot of our younger guys in the game outside of the guys that we normally play. And we're just preparing for this week, man, preparing for tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, before we get to tonight, you got, Coach Bailey is over there. I think he's a product of Coach Glenn over at Deerfield, and he's doing a good job over there at Ely. I know it's rough and he's got some young players, but what I saw, Coach, that he was trying to do, that the team was trying to do, they was trying to slow walk, right? So more of possession ball. They had a couple of runs early in the game, real early in the game, that they had some success with 4 or 5 yards, and kind of you guys kind of took it over from there. But talk a little bit about when teams try to play possession ball against your defense. How does that work with you and work with your defense, and what do you guys game plan on as it relates to when someone's trying to ball control you guys?
Well, the game plan stays the same. It's just that we got to it just goes in moderation now. It slows down a little bit more. The scheme doesn't change. And you're absolutely right. They were waiting until the 10-second count from the referee to snap the ball to keep our offense off the field, as much as possible. But that's where the points accumulate from our offense. And, they did a really good job at it. We put 35 points on them, where if they would have went ahead and snapped the ball and allowed our offense to get on the field, we could have easily put 50 points on those people. But like I said, my game plan didn't change. It stayed the same. The scheme stayed the same, alignment and assignment. It played aggressive, and we just played what they gave us, man.
And talking about playing with what they gave you, Coach, you had several starters out. As I was on the sideline, I saw Action Jackson over there. I saw Trey Martinez over there. I saw Najee Kelly over there. So that's 3 starters right there. But your defense was still able to suffocate Ely's offense. You had some great tackling out there. So talk a little bit about, how you guys performed with having those starters out. And it speaks about your depth. Talk a little bit about that, Coach.
Well, one of our beliefs is you're strong as your weakest link, and so we want to make sure that being that we have a few starters out, that our next guys that come in are just as talented, just as strong, and just as knowledgeable of the game as those starters. And so we didn't skip a beat. And so like I stated earlier in one of the podcasts, that when our second string go anywhere and be on the first unit, they're just as talented, they're just as knowledgeable of the game. So we prepared the second unit and some of the third unit to be ready to go when your numbers call.
And Coach, I know this is not what you want to focus on right now, but the fans, the followers, want to know what you feel about this. You finished the season with 7 shutouts. Really shutting down people the whole year. I think Plantation scored the most against you, and that was a little surprising with that WNT offense. And we know that's hard to stop. But what does that say about your defense and the job the players, and not only the players, but the coaches did all season to have 7 shutouts in 10 games? Talk a little bit about that, Coach.
Well, our goal going in, we tried to set the goal to having 10 shutouts in the season. But we know that we're not saying it was impossible, but that was one of our goals and one of our missions. And, it's just like if you shoot for the moon and you land on a star, at least you're out of space. So at least we were able to get the shutouts that we were looking for in those certain games. And we aimed to get the shutouts in, the Miramar, the Plantation, and the St. Thomas game. We weren't successful with that, but all in all, we were pleased with our performance. Pleased with the avenue that we're going down right now. And it prepared us for the season, for this second season that we're in with the playoffs.
Right. And speaking about the playoffs, we want to touch on that now, because you got a big game tonight against Fort Lauderdale, Coach. But as we talk about the playoffs, as you move forward, the level of drive, the intensity, everything picks up. So talk a little bit about what your team and coaches are going to need to do to have success tonight against Fort Lauderdale.
Well, we're preaching to our kids that every game in the playoffs is like the state championship game. You win that next game, you're the state champ until next week, and we're trying to go 5-0. You 5-0, you're the state champ. And so that's the verbiage that's going around the camp. That's what the word is going around the school, around the community, that we're aiming to be the state champs. And it's being that the state championship is right here in our backyard. We're trying to pack the house because we know that means the fans won't have to travel, they won't have to pay for hotels. They'll just use their gas money to come right there to Lauderdale Stadium. Lauderdale Pink Stadium is what we call it. And we just ready for this next season, man. And the kids are excited. Coaches are excited. The community is excited. We're just ready to play some good football.
Right. And talking about playing good football, Coach, again, I do have to ask, you don't have to say it, but I got to put you on the spot. I talked about those 3 players being out, Martinez, Action Jackson, and, a big stud D lineman, Najee Kelly. Any chance those players play tonight?
All of them.
All of them will play.
All of them are playing. That's the main. Like I said before, there's no next week for us. So we put all our eggs in the basket each week, and this could be our last week. So we want to make sure that we go out with a bang. So we're going to dress everybody. We're going to play them as needed. They're going to start the game off. And once the game gets out of hand, like we expect it to do, then we just teeter them back a little bit and just allow the rest of the guys to continue the game.
And you respect every opponent, absolutely. Fort Lauderdale, although you beat them, I think 42-20 last year, the first half was very close. And you guys played at Lauderdale Stadium. I think it was a shock to everybody. It was definitely a shock to me. The way they came out, they had a stud wide receiver who I think is no longer there. But, how they attacked you was on the crossing routes, right? So they were able to kind of get their wide receiver in some crossing routes and kind of go down the field a couple of times on you guys. And they were leading at halftime. So talk a little bit about, how do you think your defense matches up against Fort Lauderdale this year?
Well, very well. Going into that game last season, that was the first game of the season. We had no film on them. A couple of new players came in. We didn't have a clue what was going on over there, and we're just trying to catch up with the times, man. We tried to understand what they were doing, and once we finally caught up what they were trying to do to us and what they did to us, like I said, they put up 21 points. And once the kids realized what was going on, the game slowed down, and they caught on to what they were trying to do, and we maneuvered around it, and we were able to make plays and end up putting the game out of reach.
That's right, and Coach Dunbar is a great coach over there. They're district champs for the first time in their history over at Fort Lauderdale. We definitely want to give Coach Dunbar a lot of props. But talking about his offense a little bit more, they have some aggressive wide receivers in number 2 and number 7. And they go up and get the ball, Coach. And you got some stud DBs back there. So, are you looking to, I don't need your game plan, but what we got to ask you, are you looking to be physical with those physical receivers out there? Do you look to play bump and run, or do you look to just overall scheme? What do we look for tonight, Coach?
Well, my defensive backs coming into this week, like you stated, they got some good receivers over there. They really hadn't been tested this season in the secondary because our defensive line is so strong. They get to the quarterback before the ball can be thrown and things of that nature. But so they're up to the task this week. They challenged each other. They put they challenged each other who's going to get the most interceptions, who's going to get the most PBUs, things of that nature. And they just really made it the competition level go sky high in the secondary. So they're up for the task. They're ready to go. They're focused. They game plan really well. They know the concepts was coming at them. And so they're going to be back there. They're ready for the challenge, man. These guys are really excited for tonight.
And standing for Fort Lauderdale, Coach, as you look to hopefully move on to the next round of the playoffs, what can't you allow Fort Lauderdale to do tonight so that you have a chance to move on to the second round of the playoffs?
Win. We can't allow them to win. We can't allow them to find their identity. Right. Every team has an identity, and that they have a game plan as well. And Mike Tyson said it best: everyone has a game plan until you get hit in the mouth. Right. So we're We're ready to take the challenge. We know that they have a game schemed up against my defense. It just becomes a chess match at that moment. Who's the most physical? Who's the most prepared at that time? And I feel we are the most prepared right now because the group of guys that I have, they're very smart, they're very knowledgeable. They understand what's happening to them on the field, what could happen to them on the field. They go out with all our records abandoned. They're prepared for the challenge, man.
Right. And Coach, you're talking about your defense. You got an outstanding defense. We talked about the 7 shutouts already this year in 10 games, but more so your defense is even tougher when you get the lead. So is that a sign of what's to come? Are you looking to go out there and jump on Fort Lauderdale, kind of suffocate them, get the lead, and kind of play defense to end the game? Is that kind of the game plan?
Yeah, offense feeds off our defense. Our defense feeds off our special teams. Special team feeds off our offense. And that's just the morale that we have going through our whole camp, that we all going to play together as one. And once we see one unit, showing out, the other one wants to show out too. And they want to get some shine as well. So we have a competition amongst all 3 units who can, make the most plays, who's the most dedicated, who's the most aggressive. And so that's why once we get the lead, the defense gets even more hungrier because they don't want the offense to outshine them. And same thing, special team wise, they don't want the special teams to outshine them. Special teams don't want offense or defense to outshine them. So everybody's clicking on all cylinders, and we just go out there. We can go out there and play Dillard High School football, man.
Right. And I want to mention something, Coach, because you talked about special teams a little bit, because last year in the game, if we remember, they were up and Bugs Mortimer, he returned the kickoff, and I think he returned the punt return first, and then he returned the kickoff, gave you guys 14 quick points, then kind of your defense took it over from there. So that kind of speaks volumes to what you're saying as far as the defense feeding off the offense and feeding off the special teams and not want them to outshine them. But as we wrap it up, Coach, give us 2 things you'll need to see from your defense that will help you move on to the next round.
Just these guys will continue to stay focused, continue to stay steadfast on what we do. We've game planned real heavy this week. We've done a lot of film study. We've done a lot of preparation for this particular game. Like I say, we're not looking to next week because there could possibly be no next week if we don't win this game. So the kids are ready. They're very eager to go out there and compete at a high level. No matter who we play on the field, we're gonna, not gonna go down to the competition level. The word is, looking at the film from them versus Stranahan last week, they lost to Stranahan, I think it was like 28 or 35-0. But we can't look past that. It's a new season. Everyone's 0-0, and we're gonna treat these guys as if they're just the next opponent. We can go out there and try to whoop them.
Right. And Coach, I did say one last question, but I got to touch on that too, because I was there at the Stranahan Fort Lauderdale game, and Stranahan did kind of put a chokehold on them. I believe they shut them out. But is there any, when you say not playing down to the competition, is there any thought amongst your players looking past this game at all? I mean, I know you talk about one game at a time, but they lose against Stranahan, the way they lost against Stranahan. And Stranahan is high powered on offense, but you guys are even more high powered on offense and defense, a complete team. Is your team locked in totally and not looking past Fort Lauderdale because they got shut out?
Well, I would like to say so, but deep down in their mind, you always want to take a peek around the corner to see what the other teams are doing or what they have prepared. So yeah, I always try my best to prepare for the next week. I try to get a couple of film to try to study ahead of time. But we're definitely focused on this week, man, and we just prepare for Fort Lauderdale, what they're trying to bring to us. Being prepared for a lot of trick plays coming out, early. A lot of deep balls coming out early. The running game is okay, but we can't sleep on the running game. I got a lot of faith in my front 4, and they're gonna, shut that down, and my linebackers as well. Defensive backs, like I say, this week we really tested them this week in practice because they really like to throw the football. And so coming into this game, we know that we located the number 1 receiver, the number 2 receiver, who they like to do in certain situations. So our kids are prepared. They're ready to go. They're definitely ready to go.
Absolutely. And for your fans, your followers, and everyone else interested in the Dillard program, Fort Lauderdale did pack the house last week as they were taking on Stranahan. Their whole section didn't have any seats. So again, Coach, we're going to put it out there to you. What do you need from your fans, your followers to support you as you take on Fort Lauderdale as a away team? 9-1 away team. I want to mention that again. A 9-1 away team, okay, lining up against Fort Lauderdale tonight. So what do you need for your fans and your followers, Coach, to support your team?
To continue to support, pack the house as they would, as they're going to try to pack the house as well. standing room only. You know, we're gonna have a band in the building. Just make that our home away from home. You know, like I say, like on another podcast, that we want to make everywhere we go is our home, and that's the way we want to do it. So the fan support has always been there. They've already been great to us. You know, the administration, you know, the cheerleaders, to the band, to the everybody, just come out and support it and give us that path of pride that we're looking for, man. Continuous path of pride.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Coach, thank you so much for your time. We wish you well tonight against a tough Fort Lauderdale team. And Coach Dunbar, I know he's going to have his squad ready to go. So, Coach, the best of luck to you. And hopefully I'll be seeing you out there. Take care. And hopefully you can bring a W back home.
Got you, my brother. I appreciate you.
All right now, Coach, take care.